In this episode, we sit down with Marki Lemons, and this one is special, you guys. She tells us all about growing up and everything that she had to overcome. That not only was she recently inducted into a Hall of Fame, but she comes from a family of Hall of Famers, and everything else it took to get to where she is today. She was a delight, she was funny, she is absolutely charming, and we know you're going to love getting to know the human behind all of the success. So, we'll see you in there.
He's straight sitting on the toilet and kicks the bathroom door. Hey, old girl, I need you to marry me. We get married 48 hours later. June the 6th of '06. I got married on 6/6/6. My junior year of college. I'm in private school. I'm a member of the largest black sorority in the world. And I'm running a restaurant and a concession stand because both of my parents were addicted to heroin. There's a couple with a mattress in the living room of the property that we had gutted to the studs. They had pried the floor joist and climbed up through the floor. What was I gonna do?
So here's where we like to start, just to level set who you are. Let's just start with, how do you perceive yourself? Who are you professionally in this space? How do you describe yourself?
Well, I always start off with, I'm your girl, Marki Lemons Rao, global keynote speaker, 6-time international best-selling author, and the podcast host of Drive with NAR, the podcast, the official podcast of the National Association of Realtors. But I'm also a proud Chicago 5th-generation entrepreneur who birthed the 6th-generation entrepreneur.
Nice. You've done that a few times.
Thank you. A couple. People mimic me. Like, people know my introduction, and they like to say it before I say it so they can laugh in my face. So there you go.
It's only because it's such a flex. I love it.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, now that we know who you are today, the purpose of Human After All is to go deeper. Our brand outlook for 2026 and beyond is about trust and transparency. We believe that building trust is about being authentic. It's about the human connection. A lot of real estate agents, a lot of things that we just talked about, even on our masterclass, or agents get a little bit too mired into the mechanics of the sale or attracting buyers and all the things they need to do on CRMs and the numbers and how I need to make these phone calls. Now listening to a lot of agents talk and just my own, anecdotes about it, even talking to my creative director, and I asked him, how did you choose your real estate agent? And he said, I liked her shoes. We are all looking for some human connection. So, Human After All is really about who are you beyond, this person, this persona. Let's go back to a time period in your childhood and paint a picture for us what it looked like. Where did we start? What was it like in the early times as a kid? What was the environment like?
It was in Chicago. It was on the south side of the city of Chicago. Because my parents were teen parents, and I tell people I am the last of my grandparents' children, but the first of my generation. My aunts and uncles and grandparents were very hands-on. And you would think that my grandparents asked my teenage parents to have me for them, because I was never an intrusion or an interruption to their day. I was always very vocal and very direct. And because my parents were both the black sheep of their families, I was also my grandparents' intel. So it means that I've been grown my entire life and always a part of adult conversations because I was the snitch, right? Telling everything on my parents. And my parents knew it. And they also knew that they had to tread lightly because my grandparents had the ability to take over. Let's just say that. And so at a very early age, I knew what I wanted and what I didn't want. And I was taught to be able to verbally articulate that. But if I was to go back, I'm looking at my great grandmother's porch. Mrs. Porter, she owned a newspaper stand, and she would walk to work. But I was telling someone the other day, somebody asked me, did I know how to fill a syringe? I said, yeah, I was doing my great grandmother's insulin for because she had lost her vision. She was legally blind because she was a diabetic, and she also had to have a toe amputated. And sort of this is how grown, I'm 7 years old, and I'm fixing the needles for my great grandmother. And I took so much pride because I loved my great grandmother and I wanted her to live. So it was with great precision that I was filling her insulin. And I still can recall every step that I took as a 7-year-old. So I was responsible and grown and always pretty much knew what I wanted. No, it wasn't big. So my great grandmother, get this, one of my great grandmothers had 6 children. Out of her 6 children, no one had more than 2 children, and 3 had no children at all. So my family is really a upside down pyramid. We haven't gotten broader; we've actually gotten narrow, and I think the reason is because everybody came from nothing, and when they had the opportunity to get something, they thought that having children would interfere with that, and they just all made decisions to not have children. And so I was essentially the child of several people who had no children. I'm gonna give you an example. What I recall, I had my mother agree verbally that I could go to Reykjavik, Iceland as a foreign exchange student. But here were the terms of the agreement, that her yes was a final yes, regardless to what the committee would say and their opinion on me going to Iceland.
So they could say, yes, you're approved, and your mom could still veto the idea?
My mother always had veto power, but she also had the power to say yes. And so if I really wanted something, because my mother was young, cool, hip, and we had a really close relationship, because I was very, verbal, I would tell her, look, this Iceland thing is important to me. I already know who's going to say no. Right. And they all of them pretty much said no. They didn't think it was a good idea. I said, but I need you to commit to me that you're going to let me go after all this hard work. And so she said yes. And she had to deal with all of the no's, right? She didn't go against the grain often because my mother wanted to be a great mother. And so she always was seeking the counsel of aunts and uncles on what they thought that I should do so that she could put me in the best situation.
Interesting. The committee.
It was a committee.
Yeah.
And even when it came time to go to high school, I thought that I was going to go to 2 schools, either Kenwood or Whitney Young here in the city of Chicago. Both are public schools. But because I had attended a small private school, I had an uneducated education, and she was like, no, Marki, you'll get lost. Those schools are too big. You're going to send her to Luther South. So you have to take an entrance exam to get into Luther South. My mother already knew I was going to fail this entrance exam. So she tells me, you better not go fail the entrance exam. Well, I go fail the entrance exam because I don't want to go to no Luther South, right? But because I was already a great student with high test scores, do you know my mother went up there and petitioned the school to get me in regardless to the fact that I failed the entrance exam?
Oh my God.
Did it work?
Because my aunt said that's the school that I should go to. So it was, when I tell you it was straight up committee, like you could go to another cousin's play or you could have Thanksgiving dinner and all of my plans could be changed in one dinner.
That's amazing.
Man, that is such a good nod to just, like if there's something you want, go get it. Like, the process is you fail the exam, you don't get to go. But your mother, she went and said, you know what, she's going to go there anyway. And it happened. I love that happened, that she was able to get that. the foreign exchange, why Iceland? Why did you choose to go to, I mean, of anywhere in the world, you could have gone to Paris, you could have gone to London. What drew you to Iceland?
I did not pick Iceland. I thought I was going to go to Switzerland. Let me be clear. I thought I was going to Switzerland. And at that time, they were, setting off bombs then. And it wasn't safe for American students, but Iceland was safe. And so if I wanted to go, the only place I could go was Iceland. And this is funny about that. That was encyclopedia time. So I don't know nothing about Iceland because that is not where I thought I was going. So my mom takes me to the library so that we can get the encyclopedias to find out about Iceland so I'll know how to pack. And we get to the first library, and why is the encyclopedia missing? And I already had a potty mouth. So I was in the library cussing, like, who would take the dirty encyclopedia? I'm going to Iceland, right? And my mother had to drive me to another library to research Iceland. But it was the only way, if I was going to be a foreign exchange student, the summer of '86, that I would be able to be one.
Wow. All right. So we've established a couple things. One, there's a committee.
There is a committee, yeah.
There's a committee. So grandma and grandpa, your mom and dad, the aunt and uncles, and a great grandmother who at a very young age you were already administering shots. So there's a lot going on. And you mentioned that you had to grow up pretty quick. Who during this time was your hero? Were you into sports? Were you into, reading? Were you into something and there was a hero that you were always like, or was it film? For me, I watched a lot of film. And so a lot of my heroes were based on, films I watched or whatever. So was there a hero that you...
I had heroes. The problem, they were all in my family.
Interesting. Okay.
And I didn't realize that until I was in college. Young ladies who lived on my floor, they told me, they said, anybody else have an issue in college, they come to the other people on the floor, the friends. And they said, you never come to us. You always call home. Well, I knew who was going to solve my problem. And it wasn't the fact that I called home. I knew exactly who to call at home to solve what problem. So I learned very early how to get my way and exactly who to ask for what it was that I wanted. And it wasn't until probably the last 10 years that I realized my grandmothers essentially set my grandfathers up to be my heroes. Because both of my grandfathers, I'm not going to say they were womanizers, but women liked them. And because I occupied so much of their time, no other woman could.
Oh, okay.
So everything my grandmothers co-signed. And it took me being married, having children, to understand that they co-signed me being a granddaddy's granddaughter. Like, they were all for it. Oh, Marki will occupy him all day. Or, like, Marki will get to it before anybody else does. And it took me to be grown and married to understand, because a lot of times, if you were to talk to my other relatives, they would make it seem like my grandfathers were just fools for me. And now it came with my grandmother's consent.
Mm. So give us an example. How, did you... I imagine, since you say you knew who to go to and for what, you do some social construct and be like, all right, this uncle is how I accomplish this thing. This grandfather does this thing. But give us something specific.
Okay, so because one of my grandfathers was in the restaurant business, he was never readily available. But if I needed a big ticket item, I would go and ask him. My other grandfather was a truck driver for the city of Chicago, so he didn't make as much money, but he had more time on his hands. And let me give you the extreme of how spoiled I was. I ditched school once in senior year of high school. And the reason my family found out was because every day towards the end of the school day, my grandfather would come and warm my car up so I wouldn't have to sit in a cold car. And when he came to warm my car up, it was not there. So my mother laughs in my face. She says he follows you so much you can't even ditch school. And
That's amazing.
or me and my girlfriends would be out and they would point. They would be like, I swear we just saw your grandfather turn the corner. Because he did just turn the corner. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was always some eyes on me. And this is the same man, the one who had more time on his hand. This is kind of funny. So my grandmother calls over to my house one day and she was like, have you seen your grandfather? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, well, where is he? I said, he's outside cleaning my car off, right? She was like, I want you to tell him to give me a call as soon as he's done. Now I'm listening to the conversation. Don't you ever walk out this house again and leave snow on my car to go clean her car off. I'm not telling you not to clean her car off, but you clean her car off after you clean
Mine's
my
first.
car off, right? So, yeah, it was pretty bad. And most of my friends never thought that I would get married, but technically one of my grandfathers was deceased and one was much older at the time that I did get married, because my friends was like, girl, who's going to put up with you? This is utterly ridiculous.
So one grandfather was, he drove truck. The other one was in the food industry. Now, because I know you and Tom and I have chatted with you before, is this the grandfather who is like third, fourth, fifth generation barbecue and is on the Hall of Fame of barbecue in Chicago?
Well, he's in the National Barbecue Hall of Fame. So my family has sold more pork rib tips than anyone in the city of Chicago. 75th Street is the honorary James B. Lemons Way. And this year we won the James Beard Award in the classic category. And so my grandfather wasn't leaving his restaurant. We buried my grandmother on a Tuesday because that is the day on which they are closed. No,
Is that true?
yes.
He's efficient.
Good.
Yes.
You can't take a day off?
Did not
Oh, my
take a day
goodness.
off. Absolutely did not take a day off. They opened 71 years. He died, in 17? So from 1954 until 2017, he was going to go to Florida 2 weeks in February. And then my grandmother had the opportunity until the time she passed away in 88 to pick where they were going to go to 2 weeks in August. You knew 5 years in advance when he was going to take his vacation.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah.
You were also just recently inducted into, I think it was a real estate hall of fame. No? Is the rest of your family going, I'm going to step my game up? Now everybody, like, there's multiple Hall of Famers in the family.
Well, no. And I think, I would say that there's a level of envy for working hard. Okay. So I am, I'm going to say it. I am the most successful of my generation.
Hey.
But
Okay.
But they should all be as successful because we all had the same opportunities. What my philosophy is, when I look at my grandparents, one of my grandmothers was a housekeeper. The other one worked at A&P as a cashier. And they did both they retired relatively early in life. But when my grandmother, the housekeeper and the cashier, passed away, they had deeds, title, cash, and credit. I cannot allow a generation of uneducated people send me to college and I not amount to something when they did not have to take care of me. So my viewpoints are quite different than some of my cousins' viewpoints, and I just can't allow their energy to be a wasted sacrifice. Let them do it. It won't be me.
I love that integrity. Okay. What did your mom and dad do?
So, this is going to get interesting. So my mother founded the Yellow Wagon. My mother was an entrepreneur at the core of her spirit. My father basically was an addict most of my life. So a lot of what his parents did was to overcompensate for the lack of father in which he was. So it was some overcompensation going on. But he was a 4-time convicted felon. I 100% believe that at the time of his death, he was still, utilizing drugs. And then there was a period of time from 1988 until 2003 that both of my parents were addicted to heroin. You talk about hell. And it was pure D hell, right? But then that was another time of overcompensation, right? And I learned how to overcompensate because I'm in private school, a sorority. Most people know now because of Facebook and some of my Facebook Live videos, but they had no idea at the time in which it was going on. So if we were to go back to my junior year of college, I'm a member of what might be the largest black sorority in the world, Delta Sigma Theta sorority. I was a sweetheart. I'm a junior in college, and I'm running a restaurant and a concession stand because my mother was doing 9 months in a drug rehabilitation center in downstate Illinois. I don't even know how I made it, right? But I made it because my friends had no idea. Like my best friend knew, but other people didn't know. Where's your mom? Oh, she's not home.
Right.
She not here. And I never overcompensated for my father, but I always overcompensated for my mother because she was so good. Like my mother, her number one desire was to ensure that I had the best of everything. She was a cheerleader for me. She was my number one advocate. It was nothing that she thought was too good for her Marki. And she did it. And so I guess a big part of my life now that we're talking is about me making sure that I return the favor.
Wow.
In what I'd love to hear in what way return the favor in like helping them. How?
Overcompensating for my mother. So here it is. My mother's a heroin addict, but she got on brand new fresh underwear. I'm buying clothes. Oh, I probably shouldn't say this, from the booster. So she wearing St. John and Albert Napon. I'm getting her the hottest outfits because you wasn't going to know my mama was using dope. And even now, people say, I never knew. Yeah, because I'm out here overcompensating. I'm a junior in college and I'm running businesses and a house. No, I'm going to keep it going. She had taught me well. I'd been working side by side with her since she had started the business. I knew how to do it. Technically, I was the more responsible of the two. I just want to be honest. I was very responsible. And because she was a teen parent, so many people had put her down that I would never allow her to be the person that they wanted her to be.
So you've been a protector for an awful long time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even before that, 7 years old giving injections, it seems like you've been the protector of the family.
Yeah. But I gave it up. I'm the protector of 3 now. I'm not the protector of everyone. You have to get, I had to get intentional about that. And my husband and my sons require a lot of attention. So I just do not have it in me to do that for everyone and do it for them at the level in which I think they deserve it.
Sure. Except, may I just challenge slightly? The more and more people I talk to, there was an analogy. I don't know where I picked it up, but every person draws a circle around them, and everybody's circle is a different size. And that circle encompasses the people that you have in your life. And some people like small circles, and some people draw a really large circle. And it sounds like the committee was a pretty tight but somewhat large circle around you. And while you spend so much time with your children, you also draw a massive circle around you, Miss Global Speaker, and all of the energy that you put out. And by the way, both Tom and I have done a little research on you, but overwhelmingly the comments I get back when I say, oh, we're going to be talking to Marki and we're going to have her work on this part with Ray's. Everybody's like, I love her to pieces. She's amazing. She just lights up the room. And so that type of energy that you bring out to a massive, large circle, I don't know, I'm sure you're aware of it, but you have a lot of energy to give. So I'm just interested was that cultivated, at 7? or even younger, as you're taking care of this circle around you and you just grew the circle larger and larger?
I would say most definitely because I was the oldest of my generation, right? So my younger cousins, if they were going to the candy store with Marky, everybody was getting something, right? Because I always had the money. So if we going to McDonald's, everybody getting a cheeseburger, and I didn't care if we had to split a fry, right? I was because I guess I received so much. It was easy for me to be able to give, and I knew exactly who to go ask for what. But I was also the person, and I realized this not too long ago. You know, the kid they put up to do everything, I was often put up to do, right? I now allow people to speak on their own because what will happen is if there's one person who's consistently put up to do, that person can be alienated because they're always the voice. So what I tell people is I'm willing to speak up on your behalf, but there's a point that you have to speak up for yourself. If not, then you're putting me up to do the speaking. And if they're going to alienate someone, it'll be me.
Right.
Right. So I don't mind initiating and helping you out, but I'm not going to be your voice. We all need to chime in. We all got to play a role. I would say both. I definitely have empathy, but you're talking to someone who was going to Al-Anon meetings at 21, and I remember the day that I started at Al-Anon because I had this beautiful pair of gold hoop earrings, and the gold hoop earrings went missing. But here's where my grandparents come in, right? Because they were going to overcompensate, right? And so I'm sure I've gotten three pair of earrings for the one pair of earrings, right? But it was the principle that you would take my freaking earrings. And that was the day that I thought that I would do something to my parent. And I took myself to Al-Anon. So I've been through, I've been to meetings. I've been to Narcotics Anonymous to support my parents. I've been to Al-Anon. I've been through therapy. I've a graduate of the Landmark Forum. I always knew because of my grandparents and my great grandmother whose building I grew up in. And when I was born, I had three living great grandmothers. So all grandparents and three living great grandmothers. I just happened to live in one of them's building. My great grandmother, I believe, was a saint. If there's anybody who's gone to heaven, it's Mrs. Porter, right? My aunts and uncles, I always knew the other side. You know how they said nothing in life is sliced so thin there aren't two sides. I was always exposed to both sides, and then the choice became mine. Like, which one of these do you like? But what I haven't said a lot. I made up my mind by the time that I was 6 years old that I wasn't going to use drugs because they will ruin your happy home. Like I could see the shift. Everything in our house. When my father was clean, it was one person would show up. When he wasn't clean, it was another person. And my mother, if she could have at that time, she loved him so much. She would have loved him to be sober, right? But you have to make that decision yourself. And I loved my mother so much through all of the drug rehabilitation centers. And I even sent Christian a picture because every time I drive past the corner of Lake and Ashland, it stirs every feeling that one could have inside of me because it was so much hope that comes from your parent going to rehab, right? And then you go, you pick them up and the conversation has shifted. And then they might only be out 24 hours or 1 week. And then you back to the same nonsense again. And so a lot of decisions based off of my parents' behavior, I had already stated what I would and would not do in my future based off of how I was feeling in those moments.
Tell us the significance of the corner.
So at the corner of, well, now it's totally new, but at the corner of Ashland and Lake, there was once a drug rehabilitation center. So essentially, every time my mother would burn too many bridges, couldn't figure her way out of a situation, she was going to go to drug rehab. And this was not it was outpatient, and it was short term. And she would go for a week, and then you go pick her up, and she come back, and it was kind of like a hideout, is what I would call it. I didn't know that at the time, right? I think we're going and we're really going to get clean. And that absolutely was not the case. And what forced my mother, and I can't say force, my mother essentially lost everything. I told her to put her belongings into a storage unit. I sold the building that we lived in. I said, put your items in a storage unit and I'll pay the storage bill. Well, my mother, because she lives this grandiose lifestyle, she goes and orders pods, right? So pods are substantially more expensive than storage unit, right?
Yeah.
So she's not paying the bill, but I know she's still making money, right? And so she runs this bill up that she's taking all her money to do what she wants to do with it. So she starts asking relatives, will they help her? Well, the first thing they do is call me because they want to know if she don't pay them back, am I going to pay them back? And I told every last one of them, do not give her one penny if you anticipate that I am going to pay you back. I am not giving you anything back. And my advice to you is to tell her no. And this is what I said. I said, because I am absolutely tired of Hazel, right? And my mother went to one of those, I would call it the storage wars, right? And she saw all of her possessions sold. And what she told me was, she says, I'm going to drug rehab. I'm going to get my life together and I'm never coming back. And I looked at her, I said, good riddance, see you later. Right? Uh-huh. And it took me a year to miss her. Like, because that's how worn out I was, right? And she does long term, she moves to St. Louis. And because I was committed to her not coming back, I paid my mother's stay at the halfway house for months until she got reestablished so that she would not come back to Chicago. So when people, as I explained to people, and I've had the opportunity in life to lose everything 2 times, the comeback is always, each one is better. Let me just say that. Now, I don't want to lose nothing else again in life, but each one is better. But when you've had the opportunity to lose essentially everything twice, your views on life change.
I was just going to ask that because it seems like failure is not an option. It's sort of built into your DNA. You had a great community around you, a lot of support, but you were driven for success because you were already making early decisions that you weren't going to be this. You wanted a different path. You felt, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but there's some obligation there to succeed because of the support. But we know, I don't need to remind you this, but we know that success is not a straight line. And there it is. And oftentimes you hit rock bottom. So I'm curious, if failure is not an option, what did failure look like? We've all had it. So, you mentioned it happened to you twice. I'm curious, what was, what did that look like and what did you learn from it?
If I was going to look at failure, I would go back probably the worst year of my life, which was 2006. In 2006, my one grandfather passed away as the result of Alzheimer's. I then had my third bout of pneumonia that covered 70% of my left lung. My mother then dies from a brain aneurysm. My husband asked me to get married the day after my mother's memorial service. We get married 48 hours later. And his proposal, I don't know, maybe I shared this on Facebook. He was sitting on the toilet, and his proposal was, hey, old girl, I don't know what I would do if something was to happen to you or Skylar. I need you to marry me so you can have my hot ass benefits. So my husband's a locomotive engineer, right? No, he's straight sitting on the toilet and kicks the bathroom door open so he could talk to me while sitting on the toilet.
So just to recap what you just said, 2 days after your mother's memorial service.
The day after.
The one day after.
And
Sorry,
we got married 2 days after. Right. That was on a Sunday.
The bathroom door open while sitting on the toilet.
Yes.
To propose. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And tells me, go look it up on the internet and see what we have to do. So that was Sunday. That Monday we went to City Hall to get the license. That Tuesday, which was, get this, June the 6th of 06. I got married on 6/6/6. We get married.
Okay.
But wait, now, but this is the most traumatic year of my life. Hold on. So the next month.
Oh, we're still going.
We're still going.
Yeah.
So when we get back from getting married, my husband asks me, the man who doesn't have any children and wants them, he says, give me your birth control pills. So I throw on the pack across the room. He says, and the backup ones. I'm standing there. I'm like, damn. Okay. So I go in the drawer, I get the brown paper bag, and I throw it across the room to him. He says, you don't have to worry about it. I'll dispose of them. How about I get pregnant 30 days to a 40-year-old, I need to paint the clear picture, diabetic who never had any kids, right? And I'm sitting here like, how is this even humanly possible? Like, what dose birth control pill were those that there was no longevity after the fact? Like, the half-life was a quarter life, right? So I'm pregnant. I then faint on an airplane. And the sad thing about me fainting on the airplane was that my oldest son was with me. And as I'm falling, I can see the fear in his eyes that I'm falling. Now, mind you, his great-grandfather just passed away. His grandmother just passed away. His mama got married. She now pregnant. And he sees me faint, right? And at that point, the doctor was like, look, you're a high risk. You're going to have to take things easy. But now we're coming into the foreclosure crisis. Just so you know, right?
I don't imagine taking it easy is something you do well. So go ahead.
I didn't. And all I'm thinking is this child deserves the same opportunities as the oldest child. Take it easy. And in the midst of taking it easy, I essentially lost everything. And because the world was losing everything at the same time, it didn't feel like that big of a loss. And I look up, it's 2012. And it's years later. And I then had the opportunity to be like, oh, you lost everything. Because I was tuned out. All I knew was that my youngest son needed to be loved the same way as my oldest son. So it wasn't any trips. And my youngest son, he was difficult at first. He's a joy now, but he was difficult at first. So taking trips were almost impossible. Well, good, because we didn't have the money to take them anyway, right?
Right.
Going out to dinner was almost impossible. Well, good. We didn't have the money to do it anyway.
It's always that second kid, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, the joke used to be, if the second child was the first child, he would have been the only child.
Right. That's the thing. The first kid lulls you into that sense of security, and the second one comes along, and you're like, do we need a third? I have a third, so we said yes.
You said yes?
Yeah.
But now Austin is such an absolute joy. Like, I like him. Like, whoever he was as a little boy is not the man in which he has become. But that was what losing... I lost everything and didn't even realize I had lost everything until years later, because all I wanted to do was to remain mentally sane. And the reason I say that, I did a 2-year stint in the midst of all of this at Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. I was number one in my region for Zoloft sales. So I understood what the face of depression looked like and serotonin levels being off. All I wanted to do was just to remain mentally and physically in tune. And I allowed everything, like I didn't even get the opportunity to mourn my mother's death, but she would not have wanted me to mourn anyway.
Why not?
My mother told me consistently, girl, I have lived a fabulous life. If anything happens to me, know that this life has been good to me. And because my mother died from a brain aneurysm, I took her off of life support because I was clear what quality of life looked like to her. So she was clear in her articulation, and I've never questioned it. And because I get to sleep like a baby every night and her ashes are downstairs, I 100% believe that I adhere to her wishes. The house is not shaking. It's a feast in the house. If not, she would have got me. I wouldn't be able to sleep as good as I'm over here sleeping. No, but I was clear she wanted to have a quality of life, and she would have had to live in a vegetative state.
Man, that's a lot of responsibility from 7 years old, giving insulin shots, to being the person that had to make that decision for your mother. Like all those years later, you've been that person your whole life.
I didn't think of it. Well, let me say this. So when my grandfather passed away in March, and my mother passed away in May, when my grandfather passed away, my mother signed off on the paperwork for him to go to hospice, even though I was his power of attorney. And so the conversation was, hey, Marki, I know this is difficult for you to sign. I'm going to sign it so that you don't have any regrets. But what I need you to know, if anything happens to me, sign the damn paperwork. So it couldn't, like, the time frame was so short that I was clear and believed that all of that was preparation.
It also sounds like you guys communicated very directly with one another, which I really appreciate.
Very direct. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. My mother, people, even now when they talk about it, they said, baby, Hazel was cool as a fan, but she was a straight shooter. And she was cool and laid back. She accepted people with all their flaws, which is how I was able to accept her with her flaws. But she was an excellent mother. You know, I went away to college and she wasn't using drugs. I came home and I was dealing with a problem and didn't know what it was. And let me go back to my grandparents. So my mother's mother was still living in the early days of my mother's drug utilization. My grandmother told me my mother was using drugs.
Oh, wow.
She says, your mama's money ain't right. And I think Denise is her middle name, is using drugs. I need you to keep an eye on her.
Okay. And yeah, there's more responsibility that you had to take on is keeping an eye out. Your grandparents seem to be the people that spill the beans for people, because I'm just trying to picture when your grandfather went to your school to warm up your car and didn't see it. I'm trying to picture it from his perspective, because I would have gone there, not seen the car, and I'm just imagining he's in full panic mode. Like,
he was.
Where is her car right now? Did somebody take her? Is there a ditch somewhere where Marki is right now? Only to realize that you were just somewhere else.
I ditched school. And here's what's funny. Luther South at the time had 2 parking lots. So I lie and say, I was parked in the back parking lot. He says, no, you weren't. He's like, I've been over every parking lot at this school. And my mother's sitting there laughing in my face. You can't do nothing.
Now I want to know where you went.
Yeah, where did you go?
We went to the projects. This is crazy. So one of the other girls was dating this guy who lived on the low end. Private school, going to hang out in the projects. And we down in the projects, and she had a deuce and a quarter. At least that's what we called the car. So a big 4-door. And we were down in the projects. Yeah, I don't think even though they knew we ditched, I don't think we ever told them we were down in the projects.
I gotta know now. Yeah. Oh, man. You never did drugs because you saw how it happened with your parents and you never wanted that for your life. I sort of had the opposite experience. My dad worked for the sheriff's office. He worked for like search and rescue and all that. So he had a police dog. And at our house, I have a twin brother and we were 13 years old. And he said, he sat us down freshman year of high school and said, look, I want you to understand something. You guys are going to start making your own decisions. And I respect that. But if you do drugs and he gets you, I'm not helping. And so from then on, we were like, I guess we're never doing drugs. So it just never came up because there was a police dog in our house.
Yeah, I pretty much knew what I wanted very early in life. And in my high school memory book, I stated that I would own a business. I would have I always wanted only sons, partially because of myself. And I understood how a little girl can come and take over, right? Even though I want granddaughters. So I'm willing to share now. But I wasn't willing to share in this last generation. I wanted only sons. And that I would be the best at my chosen occupation, driving some expensive foreign car. And that's exactly what my life is.
Oh, yeah?
What car are you driving?
I drive a BMW. Yeah, I was
nice.
a Mercedes girl for a long time. And then let me be clear, I had a Honda for 10 years. It was reliable. It wasn't the car that I wanted. It was a financial sacrifice I had to make for this house. And I'm glad that I made the financial sacrifice. But I was 100%. Every 2 years, I was going into the Mercedes dealership to get me a new lease.
Yeah. So I imagine food was a big part of your life growing up. Was music? Was there other things that you were interested in, hobbies, or did you have some talents that you wish maybe you had kept up with that, you tried out for a little while and you're like, nah, moving on? Like, what about that?
So yes, not music. And I am the person who was put out of the Greater Metropolitan Missionary Baptist Church Choir. So let me just be very clear. I cannot sing. And not only could I not sing, I make up words to songs, and I still do that right now today. But the icing on the cake was me falling asleep and snoring in the choir. That's what really got me put out. So I got put out of the choir.
Really doing the family proud with that one.
Oh,
yeah.
The choir director, his name was Deacon Thurston. He already didn't want to put me in because I couldn't sing, right? So then, I'm popping my fingers, making up words. But once I fell asleep and started snoring, it was over for me. Find her something else to do in the church.
Yeah.
But a couple of things. I was a 4-figure runway model until about 3 years ago. My legs just couldn't take it anymore. And now that I have Pilates, I might actually go back because I think that the strength that I'm building in my legs would allow me to come back. So I left on great terms. There's a handful of local fashion shows that were very disappointed to see that I retired. I could probably go back. I'll let you know next year. And dancing has always been my thing. So I was a part of dance groups, and I still dance quite a bit now.
What kind of dance?
Well, I'm a house head.
Now we're getting into my world.
You're in good company here. Okay.
And Chicago's got quite the house scene.
Yes, it does. Chosen Feud. Okay. And here's what else is kind of funny about a lot of famous house DJs out of Chicago. They were the same DJs when we were in high school, and we're all the same age.
I love this.
Christian, do you still DJ? Because Christian's a DJ, and he won Remix of the Year. He won a Grammy a while back. Did you cross paths with Christian at some point when you were dancing the house music?
What, spinning in the middle of the floor?
So there's a couple of areas I never got to go. So I've only been to Chicago. I've only been to Chicago twice. Both times I was blown away by how gorgeous the city is. Chicago and Detroit have very specific house scenes, and both are Detroit for techno, but Chicago and house. And they're both two scenes that I never actually got to immerse myself in. I was a big fan of the music, but I pretty much stayed on the West Coast. there's also a difference. Also, the West Coast had outdoor parties, lots of outdoor raves and stuff. And most of the Midwest to the East Coast were more, dare I say, in the club. Probably
Warehouse.
do. Yeah, warehouse, mostly because it was, cold as hell during
Yes.
half of the year. So it's just interesting. But yeah, I came up in that music as well. So that's interesting. Do you still go out and get your house on every now and again?
Yes, and we were just at the Chosen Few, and every morning I listen to one of my high school friends, also still a DJ, Jay Boogie, and he has a playlist called "I Miss Church." And well, first of all, I'm pretty sure the people at church don't like us dancing to the church music, but he has a gospel house mix that I listen to almost every morning.
That's
Every morning.
amazing.
Every morning. Yeah. So I'll go whenever I go out, it's going to be house music. I love it. And then every summer we have a big outdoor festival called the Chosen Few. People from all around the world come, and it's you definitely come. It's in July, and it is a reunion for me from grammar school, high school, college, just so many people. But it is so much fun, and it's nothing but love. To me, house music is nothing but love.
It is a universal language. I love it. All right. So we didn't touch on this, so we have to touch on this just quickly because you and I had a conversation and you told me what your husband does. And I immediately created a whole image in my head about your husband's profession. So tell us a little bit about that. And for every young boy, I guess this is at least some point in your life you want to be this. So tell us what your husband does.
So I affectionately call him Mr. Unstoppable, which was a role that Denzel played in a movie. But my husband is a locomotive engineer for Union Pacific Railroad was bought out by essentially Metra. And so my husband, he doesn't do freight. He did do freight initially, but he drives commuter rail as a locomotive engineer. And I would say when you think of an engineer, you're thinking of this mad mid-aged man with tattoos. That would be my husband.
That's it. It's correct.
And it's like all of them are disgruntled mid-aged men, right? With tattoos. It's like they find something to be mad about.
I imagine overalls. Are overalls at all part of the story? Overalls have to
No,
be
but he wears denim every day, work boots every single day with the yellow vest because their job is 100% about safety. But here's what I didn't realize. Most of the men at the railroad are phenomenal cooks. They love cooking. Love it. And so there's always someone's house to go over and a great meal to be had. Like they definitely are in cooking competition.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. The best brisket, the best this, the best. My husband can cook. My husband really thinks he's a chef. No, it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's better.
Who's better though? Grandpa's barbecue or your husband's brisket?
So we're pork. So I would say my husband is the best in brisket and my granddaddy was the best in pork. But here's the thing.
Oh, okay.
I am the pit master at our house. So even though my husband
Really?
even though my husband is a better cook than I am still the person who's going to do the barbecuing.
Well, coming from Hall of Famers, as you should be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We're not sponsored by any means, but what do you use? Are you a green egg? Are you a Traeger? Do you use typical side smoke?
We have a Weber and we have a Traeger. Yeah, so we have, but when I'm doing an event for the family, I'm actually renting it because I want the double roll, essentially their old garbage cans or drums. and the guy works at the railroad and he comes and brings it in through the garage. I had to send you, I'll send you pictures and video of some of my work.
Christian and I both do a lot of barbecue. I know that. Not anywhere. I'm assuming you're significantly better than both of us. But we both, we both Traeger guys who just love to smoke. Like he's done turkeys. I'd like chicken, like just for, you get it for 4 hours. What's funny? Again, 3 daughters, and you're absolutely right when they just take over. But the only protein that they'll eat is like if you smoke chicken breasts for 4 hours and then make pulled chicken hoagies.
Really?
Like barbecue pulled chicken hoagies. That's the only protein they'll eat. Yeah. It's the only one I can get it. But you know what? It makes me feel good that it's like, all right, I'm going to put some effort into this, so you better eat it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we do. So my husband definitely is the brisket person. If we're going to do pork ribs or tips, then I'm going to do that. And actually in the city of Chicago, tips used to be considered scrap meat. So my Uncle Lem, who started Lem's, would go to other restaurants to get their scrap meat. Now we likely sell 3 times more tips than we sell ribs.
That's fascinating. I love that.
So yes, Stephen's I'm gonna call him Henri, locomotive engineer who proposed on the toilet, who is the absolute best cook in our house. Except for the ribs.
Great at proposals, train engineer. He is just who we all want to become, right?
And he did it with no freaking ring. So go figure.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm going to pivot a little bit. I have a question for you. You've traveled all over and you speak everywhere. I want to know, where's your favorite place to speak in the U.S. or outside the U.S.?
So I actually love, and people think this is crazy, but I like opening new territory. So it's going to be that small little remote town. So recently I was up in Gaylord, Michigan, and I went up to Gaylord numerous years ago, and I stated to everyone it was the only place I'd ever been that did not have a TJ Maxx, because I don't care. You legit to me if it's a TJ Maxx or a Marshall's there, right? So I go to do this event probably 2 months ago, and they had a brand spanking new TJ Maxx. And I was so elated. I said, Gaylord, you have finally arrived. But it's generally those small, remote cities. But one of my favorite cities, period, is going to be San Diego. The only 2 states I have not physically taught in are Alaska, which I am doing in 2026, and then North Dakota.
All right, what's more important, your walkout song or your mic drop song?
Ooh, walkout.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is, you're about to walk out, biggest, best, maybe it's a new market, whatever. This is what you've been gearing up for all of 2026. You're about to walk out. What's your walkout song?
Money, money, money.
Money, money, money!
Oh, I love that.
And if not, then it's going to be...
Is that your walkout song?
It
Do you walk
is.
out
Me
to that
and
song?
Keith danced to Money, Money, Money at the Next Home convention that was at 24 in Vegas. It is. And if not that, then I'm going to play I'm Every Woman.
Oh, damn. All right. I love it.
So Money, Money, Money is my... I'm going to teach you how to make more money. So yeah, it's just to me the most appropriate song.
We're going to wrap up here. What's the legacy? You're continuously moving out and doing speakerships and getting your message out. But, we spent a lot of time today talking about where you came from, which is important because these are the things that make us and make us different and give us the experiences that we can share with other people. And we're big on authenticity and transparency this year. So distill this down. What are we telling the people that you're going to speak to this year?
My goal in everything that I do is to ensure that I leave a legacy. I had people who provided for me, who made a huge sacrifice, and I want to be able to do the same thing for my future grandchildren that my grandparents have done for me. Real estate let me know very early that it would put me in the position as a unwedded mother to provide for my child's needs and his wants. And because Skylar is a 2025 NAR 30 under 30, real estate fueled our entire life. So I do believe that real estate can get you everything that you need as a parent, allowing you to leave a legacy and to provide experiences, not only for your family, but for those around you.
You've done this before, I can tell.
Just a little bit. Well, okay, so we have a series here where we talk to people about this, and I know you're going to have a great answer for this. So when working with clients, just over the years, what is the wildest thing that's happened? You know, when you're at a dinner party and somebody's like, hey, so tell me about your job. What's something nuts that's happened? What do you tell them? What is something crazy that's happened with one of your clients?
Ooh, what's happened crazy with a client? I don't know if it was with a client. I'm gonna say what stands out in this moment. My oldest son told me at 7 that he wanted to become a real estate agent. And it was after he stepped over dog poop in a property we were going to buy and renovate. And I knew that the light bulb had just gone out because he turned around and stepped over that poop and said, Mom, all we have to do to this house is. And that was a defining moment for me in real estate, because that was the moment that I knew that he could see it.
He had the vision.
Yes. And we're talking about a kid who the bottom of his shoes didn't get dirty, but he stepped right on over it like it was abandoned. He stepped right over it like it didn't mean nothing. He turned around, Mommy, all we had to do to this house is. And in that moment, I said, he gets it.
Okay. Yeah, we've heard some wild stories. Like, we've been talking to 8 clients from all over, like people make an offer and all of a sudden the chimney catches on fire. You know, there's endangered species inside the house. Like, there's like some really nuts things that we've heard.
All the species have come out to meet me in the foreclosure short sale era. I just want you to know that. Every last one of them. In these abandoned
I don't know why, but I can just imagine a Bengal tiger walking up to you and you going, not today. All right.
Well, you know, I want to just say this, though. So I had a building. It was my great grandmother's building. We had put vacant property security on the building. I go over, I let myself in. Stephen is with me. He says, Marki, I don't want you to yell out loud, but turn around slowly. I turn around. There's a couple with a mattress in the living room of the property that we had gutted to the studs. The way they got into the property, they had pried the floor joist in the basement to the first level and made a makeshift ladder and climbed up through the floor, opened the door from the inside and brought their mattress in. So he says, are you going to put them out? I said, we talking about people who pried the floor apart. No, I said, do y'all have company? They said no. I said, okay, I'll see y'all tomorrow. I mean, what was I going to do?
Yeah.
Just by sheer desire of getting in there. Like, you know what? You did. Okay. You won this one. You get to
you earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the craziest. I didn't think that someone had the capacity to pry the floor joist from the basement to the first floor.
Yeah, that's determination. All right. Well, I think we've come to the end. Tom, do you have any last questions?
You know, I do want to talk about, you know, we've got our partnership a little bit. Just what drew you to raise, you know, we've been talking with you a lot. I know you've been, you know, you were an early advocate, if I remember correctly. I remember talking to Craig, you know, and hearing the name Marki Lemons a long time ago. So what drew you to this partnership?
What drew me, I was actually, James and I were doing an event for the Long Island Board of Realtors. And he was on stage, he presented on Raise, and he said, there are investment opportunities available. And because, one, I love how he advocates for the industry, I had already been on the podcast and had already spoken for Next Home, I said, I want to be a part of that. And it made sense. And because I'm also inducted into the Accredited Buyer Representative Hall of Fame and have always talked about what's your value add and why we should have a signed buyer representation agreement, it was in 100% alignment with my philosophies as a licensed real estate professional.
Well, I can't thank you enough. We get the opportunity to talk with so many interesting people. I care less about the industry politics and the normal chitter chatter about the industry that talks way too much about itself, and more interested in the human element and where we come from and making those connections. It's also what we've been talking to agents about, and we'll be talking to them about for all of 2026. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm coming out to Chicago, and we're going to go and get our dirty house on.
Come on now.
That's the plan. And we better be eating some good barbecue.
I'm ready.
Yeah, it sounds like you might know a place.
We're gonna strap on our shell tops and get the groove on.
That's exactly what it looked like.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.